There is someone you pass every single week. Maybe it's the quiet neighbor who drives a 10-year-old car and packs leftovers for lunch. Maybe it's the coworker who always declines the group dinner. Maybe it's the woman in the grocery store, comparing prices before she puts anything in the cart. You have already made a decision about them. You have already filed them into a mental category: struggling, ordinary, just getting by. But here is the part that will sit with you long after this video ends. According to UBS's 2025 Global Wealth Report, there are 23.8 million millionaires living in the United States right now. That is roughly 1 in every 11 households. They are everywhere, and almost none of them look the way you think they look. This is not a video about luxury. This is not about yachts or designer watches. This is about something far more unsettling. This is about the 10 behavioral signs of people who have quietly accumulated serious wealth and have made a deliberate, calculated decision to make sure you never find out. Watch carefully, because one of them is probably already in your life. Before we get to the signs, understand why this is happening at the scale it is. The United States added 562,000 new millionaires in 2024 alone. That is over 1,500 new millionaires every single day. And here's what makes this truly strange. More than 50% of American millionaires live in neighborhoods where the average household income is below $75,000 a year. Nearly 1/3 of them live in zip codes where home values are below the national median. 6 out of 10 own homes valued under $500,000. These are not the people in the gated communities. These are the people next to you in traffic, sitting beside you at the parent-teacher meeting, standing behind you in line at the coffee shop. The wealth is real. The invisibility is intentional. And once you learn to read the 10 signs, you will never look at an ordinary person the same way again. Sign number 1, and this is the one that catches almost everyone off guard. They drive a car that is boring by design. Not because they can't afford better, because they understand something most people will never accept. A new car is a guaranteed financial loss. The average new car payment in America right now sits at $770 per month. More than 1 in 5 buyers has locked into payments above $1,000 a month. And nearly a quarter of all new car loans stretch 7 years or longer, just to make the numbers survivable. The research from the Millionaire Next Door, one of the most comprehensive studies of wealthy Americans ever conducted, found that the typical millionaire spends only about 1% of their net worth on their vehicle. Run that on someone worth $2 million. You land on a $20,000 car, often bought used, often kept for a decade. And the most common brands among the quietly wealthy? Toyota, Honda, Ford. Not because it's all they can afford, because they would rather own the appreciating asset and let someone else eat the depreciation on the shiny machine in the next lane. The boring car is not a sign of struggle. It is a sign of a decision, a deliberate, profitable, quiet decision that has been paying compound interest for years. Sign number 2 is one of the most consistently reported behaviors across every major study on high net worth individuals, and it is almost unsettling once you notice it. They go completely quiet whenever money enters the conversation. No mention of what things cost, no comment on salaries, no reaction when someone name drops a price. Finance influencer and former financial advisor Humphrey Yang documented this precisely. The quietly wealthy avoid what he calls the 3 E's: earn, expensive, and excess. They don't discuss how much they make. They don't flaunt purchases. They don't reference a lifestyle. And the reason goes deeper than simple modesty. Chad Willardson, founder of Pacific Capital and wealth advisor to ultra-high net worth clients, explained it directly. The quietly wealthy prioritize freedom and discretion. They don't need a Rolex to feel successful. They've already won. When you have nothing left to prove, you stop performing. Pay attention to the person in any room who says absolutely nothing when the conversation turns to money. Not defensive, not evasive, just quiet. That silence is frequently the loudest thing in the room. Sign number 3 is the one that truly separates surface appearances from actual balance sheets. Their money is invisible because it is never sitting still. According to Ramsey Solutions' National Study of Millionaires, a survey of over 10,000 actual millionaires, the number one vehicle for building their wealth was not real estate speculation or crypto or a lucky break. It was the 401k. Ordinary, boring, automatic. Nearly 47% of millionaires own stocks, with an average portfolio value of just under $1 million. The retirement millionaire count in the US rose 29% in a single year between 2023 and 2024. And here is the behavioral pattern that explains it. The quietly wealthy automate everything. The money leaves their paycheck before it ever touches their checking account. It gets invested the same day. And then it gets ignored. They never see it. So they never miss it. So they never spend it. Meanwhile, the person performing wealth is routing that same money into car payments and renovation loans and subscriptions that quietly drain the account every month. One person's money is working while they sleep. The other is paying interest on things they already consumed. The brokerage statement is enormous, and you will never see it at dinner. The quietly wealthy have a shopping pattern that looks, from the outside, like spending more. And in the short term, it is. They buy the well-made boot, the solid wood table, the appliance with the 15-year track record. They pay a real price up front, and then they keep it for a decade while the person trying to look rich cycles through 3 cheap replacements and 2 trendy upgrades, and quietly spends more in total to end up with less. Bobby Rebell, CFP and consumer finance expert, confirmed this pattern. The secretly wealthy shop for value and longevity, not brand recognition. They choose pieces with no visible logos, no hardware screaming its maker. 94% of millionaires, according to verified data, live below their means. Not because they have to, because they understand that cheap turns expensive the moment you have to buy it 5 times. The worn bag, the older appliance, the unremarkable shoes. These are not signs of scarcity. They are the fingerprints of someone who bought right the first time and never had to buy again. Watch how someone reacts when something breaks. The transmission, the water heater, the unexpected medical bill, the job that disappears on a Tuesday with 2 weeks' notice. For most Americans, and the data here is stark, the national personal savings rate sits near just 4% of income. The median American household carries almost no financial cushion. Any one of those shocks is a 5-alarm emergency. The secretly wealthy meet the exact same bad news with an almost unsettling calm. And that calm is not luck. It is not temperament. It is not personality. It is a high-yield savings account, sitting quietly in the background with months of expenses earning around 4% annually, while the national average savings account pays roughly 0.33%. The big traditional banks, as low as 0.01%. The same $20,000 sitting in 3 different accounts. High-yield account earns $800 a year. National average earns $66. Big name bank earns roughly $2. $2. The calm you see on the face of a secretly wealthy person is the direct result of that difference, multiplied across every dollar, every year, for decades. They have no debt, or almost none. Americans now carry more than $1.2 trillion in credit card debt, a national record. The average interest rate on carried balances hovers near 22%. Roughly 6 in 10 card users carry a balance from 1 month to the next. The secretly wealthy live on the exact opposite side of that equation. They use credit cards heavily, sometimes thousands of dollars a month, chasing the points, the cash back, the free flights, and then they wipe the balance clean, every month, before a single cent of interest can attach itself. Car loans rarely exist in their world, because they paid cash for the unremarkable car years ago. What you end up with is a person who owns nothing flashy and owes nothing to anyone. There is a looseness in the posture of someone who does not owe the bank a single cent, a steadiness that the heavily financed simply cannot fake, no matter how new the car in their driveway looks. Freedom from payments is freedom, full stop. They buy time, not watches that tell time, not cars that imply they have time. Actual, purchased, protected hours and days. They outsource the lawn, the plumbing, the snow removal, the scheduling, not out of laziness, out of a precise economic calculation. Their time is worth more per hour than the cost of the person they hire to free it. Humphrey Yang noted this directly in his research on stealth wealth behavior. Someone who is secretly wealthy realizes they know how to make more money, but you cannot make more time. And it shows up in how they structure their lives. They are rarely rushed, rarely scrambling, rarely double-booked in a way that creates visible stress. The person who seems to always have time, who never seems to be racing against a clock, may not be doing less. They may simply have purchased their calendar back. They say no, easily, without guilt, without a long explanation. The destination bachelorette trip that does not fit, declined. The group dinner at the restaurant with the $60 entrees, politely passed. The upgrade everyone else is buying because everyone else is buying it, skipped. No drama, no performance, no elaborate excuse. From the outside, it can look exactly like they cannot afford it. The data tells a different story. Ramsey Solutions found that lifestyle creep, the slow, automatic inflation of every expense as income rises, is the single most reliable wealth killer for high earners. The secretly wealthy are immune to it by design. When their income grew, their spending held still. The gap between the two got invested instead of inflated away. Month after month, year after year, for decades. 1/3 of American millionaires never earned six figures in any single working year, not once, and yet they crossed seven figures in net worth. The comfortable no is not deprivation. It is the quiet discipline that funded a freedom most people cannot see and do not yet understand. They give, quietly, consistently, without documentation. IRS data confirmed that individuals with adjusted gross income over $10 million donated $55.9 billion in 2022, accounting for 48.2% of all charitable donations in the country. But the more revealing pattern exists at the everyday millionaire level. Approximately 38% of millionaires donate to charity annually, averaging between $15,000 and $45,000 per year, often without telling anyone. They show up. They sponsor things under other names. They quietly carry a struggling family member or fund a scholarship with no plaque on the wall. CFP Carrie Carbonaro observed this precisely. People who are silently wealthy are not trying to be known. They want to fly under the radar. The person who quietly solves problems for others, without credit, without announcement, may have more resources than they have ever let on. Watch for the ones who fix things for people and never mention it again. They stopped performing wealth because they actually have it. The research is unambiguous. The quiet behavioral pattern that runs through every major study of millionaires, the Millionaire Next Door, Ramsey Solutions survey of over 10,000 wealthy Americans, UBS's Global Wealth Report, points to the same conclusion. 79 to 80% of American millionaires are first-generation wealthy. They did not inherit it. They built it, slowly, over an average of 28 years. And somewhere along that journey, something shifted. The need to look successful quietly fell away because the performance was always a substitute for the real thing, and they no longer need a substitute. What real wealth ultimately purchases is not a better car or a louder watch. It purchases the slow, unglamorous, almost priceless freedom to live entirely on your own terms, to walk away from a bad deal, to take a Tuesday off without asking permission, to never check the bill when it arrives at the table. The quietly wealthy are not performing for the room. They checked out of that competition a long time ago. And that is exactly why they look so ordinary. So go back to the beginning. The quiet neighbor, the coworker who always skips dinner, the woman in the grocery store, carefully reading the label before she puts it in the cart. You can read it now. The boring car paid off years ago. The clothes with no visible brand. The calm when something breaks. The silence when money comes up. Those details are not the evidence of someone who lost. They are the fingerprints of someone who quietly, patiently, deliberately won. And they have absolutely no interest in telling you about it. If this video shifted something for you, drop a like. It genuinely helps more people find this content. And if you want to know exactly how to start building the kind of wealth nobody sees coming, the next video is already waiting for you. I'll see you there.